Have you ever achieved something remarkable and yet you found yourself waiting for the moment everyone around you would realize that you are a fraud? This feeling has a name. It's called imposter syndrome. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tyler, and my goal here is to share the insight I have gained coaching at various levels and across different industries in the last 13 years in ways that could help you better achieve the success that you deserve in your own life. I have worked with high achieving executives and professionals across different industries, and I've seen it time and time again that some of the most talented and successful people battle with constant belief that they don't belong, that they are not good enough, the feeling that they are a fraud. Imposter syndrome was first defined by psychologists Pauline Clance and Susan Imes in 1978, and it refers to that persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud, despite evidence of your success. It's a feeling that your achievements are down to luck, timing, or even someone else's mistake rather than your own skills or talent. This is a psychological phenomenon where we constantly doubt our accomplishment and feel like we have only gotten here because of luck and not by skill or hard work. We're afraid that sooner or later everyone will find out that we don't really belong, that we don't have what it takes to be where we are, that we just got there by luck. Imposter syndrome isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's deeply ingrained in how we view ourselves and our achievement. Even people who have reached the top of their fields, the top of their careers, like CEOs, artists, and world-class athletes, they struggle with imposter syndrome. Some people like Albert Einstein and Maya Angelou openly admitted feeling this way. So, if you ever thought, I don't belong here, if it has ever crossed your mind, or if you have that feeling, know that even some of the greatest minds have felt the same. Even some of the brightest students who worked hard to be admitted into prestigious universities feel this way. Let me give an example from a coaching session I had with a client who is a high-performing marketer, someone whose intelligence and creativity had driven major breakthroughs in her department. Despite this, every time she received praise from work, she deflected it. She attributed her success to her team or said that she just got lucky. The truth is, she didn't believe that she was worthy of the recognition because deep down, she feared that any minute from now, any moment, her boss, her peers would figure out that she wasn't as capable as they thought. Let's talk a little bit about the psychology behind imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is driven by perfectionism and fear of failure. Those who suffer it tend to set unrealistically high expectations for themselves. If their work isn't flawless, they don't see it as good enough. And when they do succeed, they brush it off as luck. One of the most counterintuitive things about imposter syndrome is that it often strikes after a moment of success. You would think landing a promotion or winning an award would bring or build confidence, but it's often the opposite. Another irony of imposter syndrome is that the more successful you become, the more you might struggle with it, because with every new achievement comes new pressure to live up to that success. So you constantly move the bar higher and higher, and that sense of I'm a fraud follows you everywhere. When you're given more responsibility or when you receive more recognition, the pressure intensifies. You start to feel like you are in over your head. I work with an individual who had a serious performance and perception gap, had a serious performance problem. We worked together for weeks to help him understand what he was doing wrong and how to get better. And then he went to spend the next few months working rigorously to close the performance and the perception gap. He was later seen as qualified, brilliant, and he was respected. He won the respect of his colleagues and supervisors. The change and improvement he made was so obvious that he got a promotion. The hard work paid off. And yet every day he told himself, I just got lucky. And one day this luck will run out and they are going to figure out that I am not cut out for this role. His promotion triggered his imposter syndrome because he thought he had to live up to some impossible standard of what the role entails. He saw his success as a mistake. He saw it as an oversight in the company's judgment. The thing about imposter syndrome is that we seem to have it all together on the outside. But on the inside, we are battling with a voice that tells us that we are not good enough, that our success is a fluke. One of the most significant drivers of imposter syndrome is what's called the perfectionist trap. You set unrealistically high standards for yourself, and even if you achieve them, the focus isn't on the success, but on how you could have done it better, or on how someone else might have done it with more ease. So why do many of us fall into this trap? It's because imposter syndrome is deeply tied to our self-perception and internalized beliefs. At its core, it's about fear. The fear of being unmasked, of being seen as incompetent, and it stems from a rigid belief that equates competence with perfection. At its core, imposter syndrome comes down to a faulty belief system. It's rooted in the idea that success is binary. You either have it or you don't. But in reality, success is a spectrum, and we all have moments where we doubt ourselves. But ultimately, we deserve those moments life recognizes us with success. Another reason is we compare ourselves to others relentlessly, and often to people whose strengths are in our areas of weakness. And social media also has amplified this comparison trap because we are constantly bombarded by other people's success stories without even knowing the struggles that went on behind the scenes. I sometimes try to look at imposter syndrome from philosophical perspective, especially through the existentialism lens, where we create our own meaning and define ourselves through our actions, not fixed traits. So if we understand that our abilities are fluid, constantly developing, we can begin to break free from the idea that we are not enough. There's another concept from existentialism called bad faith. In simple terms, bad faith is when we lie to ourselves, when we deny ourselves freedom and potentials because we are afraid of taking responsibility for who we truly are. I believe that people with imposter syndrome are living in bad faith. They are denying their own agency, attributing their success to external factors, luck, timing, or even other people, instead of owning their hard-earned achievement. And this isn't just about feeling unworthy, it's about an existential fear of defining yourself, of stepping into your full power. Because paradoxically, with success comes the pressure to continue being successful and the fear of falling short. So you keep telling yourself you are not enough, so you don't have to face the burden of being fully accountable for your success. The imposter syndrome also thrives in environments that emphasize individual performance over collaboration. When we view success as something that is solely on our shoulders, any perceived weakness or failure feels like a personal flaw. So let's get practical. How do we overcome imposter syndrome? Well, the first step of overcoming imposter syndrome is recognizing that it exists. You need to acknowledge the feeling that it exists. You have to confront the voice in your head that tells you that you don't belong, that you are not good enough. So the next time you achieve something and you feel like a fraud, pause and recognize that this is a conditioned response, not reality. You didn't get here by accident. Remember the client I mentioned earlier? In our coaching sessions, we focused on retraining her brain to acknowledge her achievement. So instead of brushing off compliments, I asked her to sit with them, to take them in fully. And over time, we replaced the habit of deflection with a new habit of acceptance. The next thing you want to learn to do is to reframe your thoughts. Reframe how you see your work. Reframe how you see your life. So instead of focusing on perfection, aim for progress. Small, consistent wins build real confidence. So instead of focusing on how much more you need to learn, recognize how far you have already come. You don't need to be perfect to be successful. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. The third thing is you want to adopt a growth mindset. Growth mindset is a belief that your abilities can develop over time rather than being fixed. So when you start viewing challenges as opportunities to grow, failure no longer feels like a threat. And the fourth thing you want to learn to do is to learn to celebrate your wins. People with imposter syndrome tend to dismiss their achievements, attributing them to luck or external factors. So you need to start keeping record of your successes and revisit them when self-doubt creeps in. In one of the cases that I walked through, I told my client to write down every one of her key achievements, including the actions she took to make them happen. The more she revisited the list, the more she realized that her success wasn't an accident, that it was earned. There's another powerful antidote to imposter syndrome, which is vulnerability. Talking about your doubts and fears with someone you can trust can break the cycle of isolation that fuels imposter syndrome. When people open up about their struggles, they often find that others feel the same. You suddenly realize that it's not unique to you, that other people also struggle with the same challenges, and that automatically lowers your anxiety. The truth is, imposter syndrome is part of the human condition, especially for those who strive for excellence. But remember this, feeling like a fraud doesn't make you one. You are allowed to own your success. You are allowed to be proud of your achievement, and most importantly, you deserve, like everyone, the opportunities you have worked so hard for. Imposter syndrome doesn't go away overnight. It's a process of slowly rewiring your belief system and rewriting your experience, learning to accept your own achievement, and understanding that success is not about being perfect. It's about showing up and doing the work even when doubt creeps in. Thanks for watching, and if this resonated with you or if you have any thoughts to share, please drop a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe for more insight into how we can understand our minds better and build the lives that we all deserve. I'll see you in the next one.